Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of CEO and Market Expert Interviews. I'm your host, Lucy, and some of you know me as Triangle Investor from X. I'm joined once again by Alex Mišković, TERA Balkanica Resources CEO. Alex, welcome back.
Hello, Lucia. Nice to see you again, and big shout out to all of your audience.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. I want to do this interview specifically as the big news is out for your company. You have signed the definitive agreement to acquire uranium assets in Saskatchewan in the Athabasca Basin region. Alex, tell me some important metrics of this deal and what does this mean for your company going forward?
For sure. And there's so much to unpack here, Lucian, but let me go briefly through a couple of bullet points. The deal makes complete business sense for TERA. It comes relatively affordable and exposes us to a critical energy metal that is currently in vogue. It also makes TERA Balkanica, which is intrinsically a Canadian company, now be in possession of a homegrown Canadian asset as well. So world famous Athabasca Basin that is currently experiencing a renaissance in terms of staking and activity on the ground. So for us, it made sense as announced both on April the 3rd when we first signed the LOI, and then just 2 days ago when we've actually signed off on the definitive version of the agreement. We are giving out or have given $25,000 up front and $250,000 worth of shares. I find that, given what we are getting back, to be of tremendous value. I'm very excited. I mean, I happen to have actually visited Beaver Lodge District about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, independently of this deal, just to take a look at what uranium mineralization is all about in the district. And I was very excited by what I saw. So for TERA, this I wouldn't want to call it a new chapter. I think what we have in Bosnia and Serbia is certainly something we are proud of, and we intend absolutely to continue unfolding and developing those assets. But it does position us for an exciting couple of quarters going ahead, kind of turning this company around and really taking advantage of a company that or a commodity that I think is only going to be more in focus globally, and in particular when it comes to the Western markets.
Okay, can you walk me and our listeners what was done on these projects you acquired so far, and what do you plan to do next in the terms of exploration work?
For sure. So the project comes with a lot of legacy data. Most of that data was acquired back in the 50s and 60s when this district, the Beaver Lodge District, was in heyday, when we had 14 former producers within 10-kilometer radius of our flagship property called Charlotte Neely. I mean, just that tells you enough as to how well positioned we are now. In addition to Charlotte Neely, of course, we have 3 other properties. Snowbird is particularly large, 328 square kilometers along the what's called Snowbird tectonic zone, which is a major suture between 2 crustal blocks here in Canada and associated with a whole bunch of northeast, southwest trending faults and structural elements. All of those are potential targets for drilling, and because they presumably have served as the conduits for fluids to exsolve uranium mineralization. So Fulcrum Metals, our optioneer, has conducted some work recently, particularly last year, 2023, on Charlotte and Fontaine Lake, another property in our portfolio. And I guess what they've done is they just verified historical occurrences of uranium mineralization. So they used scintillometers to confirm counts per second. We had multiple occurrences in Charlotte Neely that are above 10,000 counts per second on surface. A couple of really good assay results from surface as well, historical, anything between 0.18 and 1% on Fountain Lake of uranium on surface. And of course, using compilation of governmental data and historical company assessment reports and whatnot, a bunch of structural blocks and these conductive elements, these conductors have also been identified. These conductors will be, as I said, our primary focus going forward, because geologically speaking, these conductors full of graphite That's why they're conductive. Serve as places where uranium supposedly has reacted with graphite to exsolve uranium as either primary or secondary mineralization. So what we plan to do is first compile all of that data into a coherent, self-consistent geological database,
Mhm.
GIS database, so
Mhm.
spatial database. We then plan to run airborne geophysics. Airborne geophysics is probably going to consist of electromagnetic study, and similar to what Aero Energy has done in the district 4 or 5 months ago.
Mhm.
And I'm considering topping that with an airborne radiometrics. So radiometric study, so that we can identify these conductive linear features and then which part of those linear features are the most radioactive and therefore possibly prospective for further drilling.
Yeah.
Following that, I mean, we might add something called LiDAR survey on top of it. LiDAR is particularly good in terms of extracting from surficial data and terrain imaging, extracting these linear features. When you combine all of that together with the legacy data we inherited from Fulcrum and that geological database I spoke of, this is when we plan to basically rank top 5 or top 10 drill targets, and then based on the geophysics and the historical data, and then follow up with about a month and a half worth of field work to actually see whether and ground truth our hypotheses. Subsequent to all of that, again, step 1, step 2, step 3,
Of
compilation of
course.
historical data, geophysics, and then ground truthing. We hope to define, what should be a dozen or so drill targets, primarily on Charlotte Neely, but also the other properties will see due attention. And then, as early as early spring next year, actually start drilling them, like Arrow has done together with Fortune Bay and the Beaver Lodge District just for the last month and a half.
Yeah, when you mentioned drilling, you had the surface uranium samples up to 6% on Charlotte
Correct.
Neely and up to 1.4, I believe, on Fontaine Lake. Will this area where this was collected be your exploration priority? Did I get it right?
Absolutely. I mean, we are certainly not going to try to reinvent the wheel here. We're going to base our initial considerations on the historical data. However, I think that adding modern geophysics, something that has never really been done in this detail. I mean, what we intend to do is we intend to fly helicopter over a grid that's only 150 meters apart.
Mhm.
So that's fairly tight spacing. And so when you add that imaging to the existing occurrences, which of course I do intend myself to go and check up on. I mean, it's going to take me basically 2 days of helicopter work to go and visit all those properties, all those dots or points on Charlotte Neely property, collect some samples just as a kind of verify what is it that the historical records speak of. And then when we add that geophysics, I think those historical records will truly come to shine. And then we are going to be in a position to, with as certainty as you can possibly have, define drill targets. Obviously, the area is fairly remote. It's going to cost money to drill, so you want to make sure that you're as certain as you can be before you commence such a capital-intensive step, such as drilling, and then give yourself absolute success. This is, in a sense, what we've done in Bosnia and Serbia. I mean, I want to remind you, all of your viewers, that TERA Volcanica spent $1.5 million in between September of 2020 and January of 2022 before we put a first hole down on Via Gorzanic, doing precisely this type of work. Detailed, layer by layer, uh, weight of evidence approach, where we used geophysics, geochemistry, mapping, good old standard mapping, both alteration and lithological, to come up with targets. What did that result in? Well, it resulted in basically TERA Volcanica being, hitting 9 out of 10 times on Trumavici, and every single drill intercept on Brezheny was successful. So I like that approach. I like spending money up front so as to basically give yourself a maximum chance of good intercepts once you actually do start drilling.
Understood. This is a pretty big land package. You have, I know that ink hasn't dry on the option agreement, but is there an option that you JV some of this land in the future?
Well, listen, we are open to all possibilities. It is a huge chunk of land. This is ultimately what attracted me initially to it. I know that investors like large land portfolios. I, as a geologist, also like that too. Obviously, you don't want to just take any
Of course.
go moose pasture. But after we carefully reviewed what Fulcrum had to offer, we decided that all of these 4 licenses, South Pendleton, Charlotte Neely, Fontaine Lake, and Snowbird, all hold tremendous amount of promise, particularly given the fact that they haven't been explored recently. Therefore, the upside. So yes, I mean we are absolutely willing to consider JVs, spinning out, carving out part of the portfolio, divesting this asset. But again, nothing at the moment. We
Of
do
course.
want to work on the option agreement. We do want to honor all the articles of it. I'm excited to develop it ourselves and add value to it, of course, to the benefit of all shareholders. And then in the future, of course, we'll see what makes most business sense and what returns the best value for the shareholders. The same holds for Bosnian and Serbian assets.
Yeah,
I like the
please give
fact
us
that
some short update on Bosnian assets and the
for sure.
assets.
So, I mean, speaking of divesting or speaking of possible JVs or future moves, obviously all of that remains in the future. But again, I want to remind all the viewers that TERA is exposed to 4 critical commodities: silver, gold, copper, and uranium, amongst all, but many others. But those 4, for the most part,
Primary.
in 3 different jurisdictions. So now we have Saskatchewan in Canada, we have Bosnia and Serbia, all mining friendly. And ultimately, that gives the TERA sort of a optionality to slice and dice this how we see fit. If somebody likes high-grade gold in Serbia that we are about to drill with the money we're going to raise in the current financing, then by all means we can think about that possibility, or high-grade silver in Bosnia, or again, depending on the outcome of our geological exploration work, uranium in Saskatchewan. So I like the fact that we have, as they say, proverbially multiple or different eggs in different baskets here. Again, to the benefit of shareholders, all these commodities seem to be currently experiencing a bit of a boost, and into short to midterm projection is positive. People speak of 30, 40, $50 an ounce silver by October. I don't know, it remains to be seen. Gold is obviously where it is, and
Yeah,
uranium, I think, only has the brightest days ahead of it. So this is all
agreed.
good. Yes, we do have. So we are agnostic towards any future deals. We obviously have expertise and capacity to develop these assets ourselves, but we are open to anything that makes business sense for sure.
Yeah, like you said, you have financing in the process. How is that going?
So we're going to close that within the next 10 days. Actually, we are already oversubscribed. And right now, I'm in the process of just making sure that we can accommodate all the key parties. This is, I must say, a fairly attractive offer. Again, 10 cents for a unit. It consists of a warrant, full warrant for 3 years, at the price of 15 cents. Given the fact that TERA is already trading and has been trading for the last week around 15 cents,
Yeah.
that just speaks of the attractiveness of the offer. And therefore, of course, it's not surprising that we are oversubscribed. So yes, I'm keen to have that wrapped up formally in 2 weeks' time. I think all the checks will probably come in by next Friday. And then, of course, then this is when the fun part starts. This is when we can actually start making moves to start drilling Serbia. And of course, we have some news releases still upcoming from Bosnia to release. So all of that should work together over the course of next quarter.
Okay, Alex, thank you for these updates. Looking forward to hear new ones, and let's chat again when we will have one. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. Talk to you soon.